Guess what today is?
It's Humpday.
Woo-hoo! Hump Day!
Hey guys, welcome to the Humpday Hangout. I'm Mike Bashioum, here with my co-host JD Bazzo. Coming off of a big week 4, which saw Jay put up the second highest score whenever everybody doubted him. A week in which me and JD put more of a grasp on our division. And going into a week 5 with a lot of implications. And we have a lot on the table to talk about. Any thoughts, JD, on anything that happened last week? Anything you're expecting this week?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, Jay has the third highest score. Billy and Polino were...
Oh, third. Okay.
But, you know, I think you can get a lot of my thoughts from last week on the Tuesday buffet. It was great this week. You had Cutler riding a black unicorn. You had some great pictures of Kyle Orton and, you know, some match recaps, things like that. So let's jump into this week. How about it?
Yep, let's get right on to it here. We're going to go with the helmet stickers and butt fumbles. You have the first helmet sticker, which I think is the biggest helmet sticker that we both kind of had in our notes. So go ahead and elaborate on it for us.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give Jay a helmet sticker. That was a huge win for him. And I think we're going to get into it a little deeper later, but it definitely deserves a helmet sticker. And, I mean, he just kind of sat back and let Sterner make all these moves and really sell out for the win. And then Jay just snuck in at the end there and said, nah, I think I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to move to 3-1 in this tough division and just sit you down, son. That's basically what Jay told Sterner. And I think next year we might have to consider making that the rivalry and moving Madley back to Nick Clark.
I could agree with that. It was definitely the match of the week. It had so much hype leading up to it, and then everything that unfolded just made it awesome. I'm going to get into my helmet sticker here. I'm going to give a helmet sticker to Billy Cave. He's been lacking that QB3 all season long. And then today, he seized the opportunity, jumping on JD's man, Kyle Orton. He was very aggressive. This is what Jay should have done last week with Glennon, in my opinion. So Jay takes some notes. He was aggressive. He knew what he needed. So he went out and he dropped $30 on Orton. You went with 24 on him. So it was definitely a smart move by Billy to go balls deep on that. So helmet sticker to Bill.
I also want to throw out nobody else bid other than me and Bill. I was really perplexed by that. Polino, for one, had him when he was a top 10 quarterback in Denver. You know, some other people could use a quarterback. I think Jeff, now that Manuel got sat down, Jeff's only backup is currently
he has Smith, Cousins.
Oh, yeah, Cousins, who
struggles.
Cousins struggles. He could probably use a fourth option. Catco has Hoyer is his only backup. And it's not like Brady is lighting the world on fire.
Right.
And, you know, I think someone else could use one too. I kind of looked it up, but anyway, shame on the other 8 people for not submitting. You also could use one.
I knew that I didn't have the funds. I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to get them, so I just didn't even.
Billy wouldn't have bid, then you might add a shot in it.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, I'm going to throw out a butt fumble, and we were already laughing about this one day in the pre-hangout show, and that is, Sterner, what are you doing? You have an open spot on your bench, okay, and then you go and you drop the Seahawks for the Ravens, and then, okay, that's fine. Do that if you must. But then you still have the open spot, and you pick them up the next morning for $8. You wasted $8 when you had an open spot the whole time on your bench. That's more than a rookie mistake. That is a butt fumble.
I mean, I just don't understand how he didn't realize he had the open spot whenever he dropped somebody and then magically realized he had an open spot. I just don't understand the whole thought process there. And
right.
The Seahawks were on a bye. I could maybe understand if they weren't on a bye. They were last year's best defense. That somebody's going to be highly interested, but they were on a bye week. No reason to go out and put $8 on them.
No one else bid $1 or $0.
Yep.
No one even tried to pick them up.
Right.
I don't know. I'm really confused by it. And even if you needed a defense and you love if you think the Seahawks are worth $8, then drop someone else. There's definitely has to be someone else on your team.
Right. Right.
Every angle you look at that, it doesn't make sense.
My butt fumble, I'm going to give to my man Matt Vay. He last week added Jordan Matthews for $5, 5 fab. I'm not sure really where his whole thought process turned on him. I know he had a love affair with him all preseason. And then today he dropped him for Jarius Wright for $4. So, ipso facto, he got Jarius Wright for $9 whenever it's all said and done. I'm all for Matt Vay throwing away his fab like this, so keep it up. But it's definitely a butt fumble, definitely not necessary.
Yeah, it's certainly perplexing. I mean, it just feels like he has no patience. Like, how does your opinion on that player change so much so often? It's kind of like a mini Bortles with Jay.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
So another pickup I want to give a butt fumble to is Nick Clark. You dropped Ruben Randall for Darrell Young. This makes no sense at all whatsoever. I'm not sure you know what position Darrell Young plays. I don't even know if I know what position he plays. I'm pretty sure it's fullback, and the only successful fullback in this league apparently is Matt Asiata. So Ruben Randall ended up having a solid game last week, and the Giants' offense looks good. This makes no sense. We'll stay with another butt fumble for me in New York. Geno Smith, you're on the most legendary BHL Premier League owners team in the history of the world, okay? You're playing for a top-notch franchise, and you think you can go and swear at a fan and say, fuck you or fuck off or whatever it was. Come on, you're playing for my team. And I don't know. I just expect more of that. You're already in some hot water. I had to drop $5 on Mike Vick just to cover your ass, and you're going to do something stupid like that. Just not appreciated.
That's really bad publicity for your team. We'll see the effects of it here coming up in the next few weeks, I'm sure.
Oh, you
think? My last butt fumble goes to Jeff. He sat both Larry Donnell and Alex Smith this week. They were two of his top scorers, and I mean, I'm okay with it because it let me get another W. So, butt fumble to Jeff. Not really anything that you could have, greatly predicted. That Cousins collapse was absolutely ridiculous, but whenever all is said and done, it's a butt fumble.
Yeah, I wish you guys knew Jeff as well as. Well, I don't know him as well as Catco and Polino, but I know him well enough to know this is really eating at him inside. He's really he could have been 2-2, but now he's 1-3. He benched Donnell like 5 minutes before that Thursday night game kicked off. And I have something to add with that. Larry Donnell benched himself in fantasy football this week. He told reporters that and I'm pretty sure he started Vernon Davis over himself, which is the exact situation Jeff was in. And I find that hilarious. So nothing Jeff could have done. He picked the right lineup.
Yep.
But if you want to give him a butt fumble, be my guest.
Yeah.
Rub it in since you.
Yeah, that's how I do business here. So I think that's it for the helmet stickers and butt fumbles. We're going to move on to the week's biggest winner and biggest loser. My big winner of the week, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's got to be Jay. Whenever everybody else cut him down, he built himself back up, put up a top 5 score, moved into 3-1, which gives him a nice cushion because now his lineup, they've gone through that big bye week. He's got his big guns back, so he should be able to hopefully maintain a top 2 spot in that division moving into playoffs. But there are some pieces to his puzzle that may not be fitting much longer. So he needed that win when he could get it because the future's looking bleak for him. Who's your big winner there, JD?
So I had my big winner narrowed down to 2 people. One is Polino, who really needed that victory. 0-4 would have hurt. But I think Jay needed the win more than Polino still. I'd rather have Polino at 0-4 than Jay at 2-2 going into week 5. Jay he needs every single win he can get because his team is not built to rattle off a streak of wins. Polino's could at any moment. And Yeah, you pretty much covered it with Jay. The theme of this show is we were hyping. I'm glad that I had the hype machine going, getting everyone ready for this big match between Jay and Sterner. And Jay pulled it off, and he wants to come on today and gloat about it, I think, but he hasn't accepted the invite yet. So good call. We're in agreement on that.
Yes, absolutely. So hopefully we can get Jay on here to talk about that further. Going on to my biggest loser of the week, it's got to be Nick Clark. I had it down between Nick Clark and Aaron, but I'm giving it to Nick Clark. They're both 1-3 now in a tough division because now they're 2 games back. We're both 3-1. Everybody else is 1-3. But I give the edge to Nick Clark because he's leading our division in scoring, and he's stuck at 1-3. It's very unfortunate for him, very fortunate for us. So I'm going to give it to Nick Clark over Aaron.
Yeah, I have 3 candidates for this week's biggest loser, and Nick isn't one of them because his team still at least performed respectively. He is built to rattle off a bunch of wins just with those 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So my candidates are Sterner. That loss had to hurt. That's the kind of loss that just sets your season up for disaster. If you can't beat Jay last week, there's not many teams you can beat. Granted, he was a little weak on the quarterback. The next option was Nick Clark, and passed up on him. I meant Mad Bay wasn't one of my options. My bad. But my biggest loser is Jeff. The loss to you hurt. His team is not built to rattle off a bunch of wins. He has not subpar quarterbacks, but they're not the strongest. Megatron's hurt. It looks like that could be lingering. Larry Donnell is just going to cause weekly headaches because Vernon Davis is obviously probably a better option when everything's going right. Cousins just you have to knock Cousins down a notch moving forward. And previously to this week, he thought Cousins was going to be a great option moving forward.
Oh.
And Manuel lost his job, so everything's falling apart for Jeff. He's 1-3, and I don't know if he has the swagger that he needs to come back in our division right now because we're rolling pretty high right now. And he has a 3-game losing streak, by the way, which hurts.
Yeah, once you get into that habit of losing, it's really hard to break it. So we're kind of in accordance there with our biggest winners and biggest losers. We don't have much of a disagreement there. We're gonna go on now and kind of further break down Jay versus Sterner. Just a real quick breakdown of it. I'm gonna give my thoughts. JD's gonna give his thoughts. What it comes down to for me, Jay just had the overall top-heavy performance. He had 4 players that all scored over 20, and Glennon, your man Matt Asiata, Antonio Brown, and Steve Smith. They all scored over 20. The rest of his lineup really didn't do a ton, so it was very top-heavy, whereas Sterner didn't have one single player that scored over 20 points. Carr got dinged up. Locker was ruled inactive. Jennings got rest whenever the Giants got up too much, and then Cousins just blew. So Garcon, even though they were in garbage time there, times whenever wide receivers can thrive because they're constantly throwing, he just couldn't get anything going. So it's a tell of Jay having those studs that really performed and Sterner just not getting anything at all.
Yeah, so my summary of this game is Jay kind of called up Sterner on Sunday right before the game started, and he had a little something to say, and it was this. That's your daddy. Do you hear that?
Who is your daddy? What is who?
That's your daddy. And Sterner said, Matt Asiata is my daddy. And Jay got super lucky, don't get me wrong. But I don't know. It's gotta be hurtful for Sterner. He had to start. He traded all these pieces for Locker, and then he had to start Charlie Clipboard Jesus Whitehurst, and that's actually his real nickname. I didn't come up with that. And they have asked him before what he thinks of that nickname, and he does not embrace it at all. He's not a fan. So that dude's an interesting character. I don't know how he still has a job. He lives in a log cabin for training camp, and he's a puzzling character. And I might have not started anyone instead of him because I had a feeling he would get negative points.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Jay versus Stern. We've talked about that plenty enough.
Yep.
We're gonna leave that in the back burner here. Trades and pickups for the week.
I have a few more quick notes on the
Oh,
previous week.
okay.
Matt Bay currently hasn't scored over 127 points yet. 127 is the lowest high score for a team. The next lowest high score for a team is 140. So Matt Bay came in with his boom or bust team, and there's been no boom yet. Bill and Polino, huge weeks for them. They had high scores. But the puzzling thing with them is that's not their ceiling. They have their running backs groups didn't score over 30 points each. So there's definite room for them to score even more. That's really scary. And they have to feel pretty good moving forward. If Polino's quarterbacks keep it up, he's definitely battling back in that division. So, yeah, let's move on.
I'm going to talk about a few of my trades, few of the pickups that puzzled me. I honestly already talked about a lot of them. The whole Billy thing with Orton was a great move, in my opinion. The whole thing with Aaron picking up Matthews, dropping Matthews for Wright. And then the other thing that I'm going to talk about is Jay, his trades. The trade for Glennon, I thought was a great move, especially after he flubbed on picking him up in free agency. I think he realized his mistake, and then he really, after we kind of talked about it on the talk show, decided to go out and trade you for Glennon, which you kind of made out on. And then his trade with Billy, which was, I think, Kyrie Robinson and Harvin for Pierre Thomas and Steve Smith. I wasn't too sure about this trade originally. I thought that Billy kind of gave up too much. I think that Harvin was kind of the star player in that trade, because I honestly don't think that Steve Smith can keep this up. So I think it's an even trade. That whole Kyrie Robinson and Pierre Thomas, I mean, neither of those players stick out as going to be anything moving forward. So
Right.
Harvin and Steve Smith was it turns out to be even right now, in my opinion. I think Harvin over the long haul will prevail there. But it worked out great for Jay this week.
Yeah, I really didn't like the trade for Jay at all, and I couldn't think of one reason why he made it. But he got Steve Smith for that week, and he got the win, so I can't question it at all. I have a hard time believing he's going to keep it up, Steve Smith, but I've said that every week of the season so far, and he hasn't stopped. So I just wish that he had a matchup with Carolina looming like in week 16, so he had to keep trying all year and be motivated. But oh well. So Jay's receivers is his strength right now, and Steve Smith is probably still a part of it.
Yeah.
But I just have one more note. Here's where I said Orton, Catco, Jeff, and Mike all could have used him. I thought when I looked at the rosters, the three Norwin guys stuck out. As I was surprised no one bid on him. And Nick Clark, I like the $4 bid he dropped for Reeves because he needs immediate running back help, and that is a cheap replacement that could pay large dividends.
I agree there. He's been talking to a lot of people about trading for a running back, so that was definitely a good move on his part, getting somebody that can at least get somewhat of a heavy workload going into this weekend.
I hope he doesn't blow up his lineup for running back. If he watches this, I want to point that out.
Yeah. I think the next thing that we have going forward is this whole lineup decisions thing, and you can kind of head this one on,
Cool.
if you don't mind.
So, Jay has been a great addition to the league, and that he's giving constant feedback because he never can shut up about fantasy football. And this morning he texted me and said, "Yo, I put a suggestion in the submit anything box, and I don't get too many of those, so I was excited. And I looked it up, and he said he wanted us to talk a little bit more about lineup decisions, and we have done that, but only retrospectively. And I don't know if we haven't done it like looking ahead a week because we didn't want to influence any decisions or help anyone. But at this point, who really cares? If they listen to us or don't listen to us, it's probably going to be 50-50. And we need another game between us every week on the show. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick 5 lineup decisions each week that people are really facing. And me and Bashioum are going to kind of do like a pick 'em, kind of like they would pick teams in the NFL pregame show. And we'll keep track as we go along. So, Bashioum, I also thought of this, by the way, just between you and I.
Yeah.
On there. Well, first we need to find something to put on it. We'll figure that out later.
Yeah.
And number two, I think we should alternate weeks picking the decisions.
Okay. Okay. So I'll take on next week.
Yeah, so I did this week, and I'll present we have 5, and I'll present the first one. Nick Clark has a real conundrum at receiver, probably one he created for himself, because currently he's starting Brian Quick and Eddie Royal over Edelman and Cooks. I don't know that anyone else in the league would do that, but it could prove a wise decision. My 2 players I came up with to pick between are Edelman and Cooks. He doesn't have either starting, but I feel like he probably will put one in.
Yeah, I'm going with Cooks, simply because he's playing the worst pass defense in the league right now in Tampa Bay. I'm going Cooks.
I'm also going Cooks, although Edelman in a Patriots kind of revenge week was really enticing.
Oh yeah, it was very tempting.
All right, the next one is from Sterner, and he has to choose between Garcon against the Seahawks or T.Y. Hilton.
I'm going with Garcon. I think he's going to be playing from behind. That's my thought process on it.
I also saw that Richard Sherman is likely to cover Deshaun Jackson.
Ooh.
Just because of the side of the field he plays on. And
right.
That Garcon usually lines up in. I'm going to go with Hilton, so that's one we disagree on. All right, the next one I have is Matt Bay. He has to pick between Ben Tate and Fred Jackson.
I don't like either option, so I'm going to go with Ben Tate. I just don't think that Jackson's going to get enough work in what's a tough matchup against, I think, Detroit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I think Fred Jackson plays on the passing down. We trust him because of pass blocking. So he's probably going to – he outsnapped Spiller a lot last week just because they were down. And I feel like Fred Jackson is my pick this week. I don't like Ben Tate. I don't think he's going to get the full complement of carries, and who knows if he's healthy.
Right.
So you pick Tate there?
I'm going to go with Tate, yeah.
All right. I don't know why Matt Bay owns Fred Jackson, actually, by the way. It doesn't seem like he ever used it.
Right.
Anyway, moving on. Jay is the topic of this next one. Bortles and Glennon.
This one's a close call for me. I don't think that you can go wrong with either whenever it comes down to it. So I'm going to go with Bortles against the banged-up Pittsburgh defense.
Wow. Well, I don't think you can go right with either. So.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Glennon this week, actually. So that's interesting. We've been disagreeing on the last 3.
Yeah.
So, I think Dick LeBeau is just going to scheme it up against Bortles and fluster him a little bit. So,
see, I don't know if he has the pieces to even come up with that scheme right now. That's the thing.
I mean, probably not, but it's Dick LeBeau.
Yeah.
And the defense has to be mad. We're coming off a terrible defense.
Yep.
Anyway, Catco is our final selection, and this one I put in for fun because I think it's actually possibly a legitimate dilemma, and that is Tom Brady or Brian Hoyer Nation.
Like, whoever would have thought this would be a decision over the summer? I mean, not only is it Hoyer and Brady, and then after they drafted Manziel, I'm thinking Manziel was it's ludicrous. But I'm gonna go with Hoyer at Tennessee. Cincinnati's just too good against the pass, and New England has looked like an absolute train wreck. Like you said before, I mean, they're going to be all ticked off, so they might come out guns blazing, but I'm not going to bet on that. I'm going to take Hoyer.
Oh, man. I want to take Hoyer, but, Brady just seems so pissed off, and they're not going to be able to run on Cincinnati. So I really want to go with Brady, but I think that's my heart. I think my brain says Hoyer, so I'm going to go with Hoyer too. And this is one I hope Catco watches and sees that we both pick Hoyer, and really has to think about this one hard because it could make or break his week.
Oh, it really could.
And I find that fascinating. I can't believe we even had to talk about it, but I love the new segment, and thanks to Jay for doing that.
Yeah, this was good. This was very good.
And if there's any interest, feel free to post who you would pick, and we'll keep track of those.
Or you guys give us the lineup decisions. Give us your lineup decisions that you want us to weigh in on. That would be even better.
That you're truthfully struggling with.
Yeah.
We'll give you sage advice that's probably wrong. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, we're going to go on to the Commissioner's Corner, right?
Yep.
I'm going to handle the Commissioner's Corner once again. I'm going to give my little rant on something that has occurred, not in this league, but something that has occurred in another league. And then JD is going to give his stance on how he would handle it as that league's commissioner, since he is by far the world's greatest commissioner.
Oh, thanks. You know what? By the way, in the show's opener, I always call you the world's greatest co-host, and you didn't give me any sort of great.
I didn't want to copy you, and I couldn't think of anything that like kind of meant the same thing, but reworded it. So I just said forget it.
Well, let me start you off here. We had a great cat fight last week. This is cat fight round 2.
All right, this rant once again involves my boy Matt Bay. In his league, that consists of him, his little brother, some of his little brother's friends from high school, a lot of his boys from Slippery Rock. He also has Nick Clark in it, Billy Cavell, Sterner, Sweeney. So it's a wide array of guys. Last week, multiple teams needed multiple positions. It just so happened a team needed a quarterback, a team needed a running back. So there was a trade, I think it was on Thursday of last week, that was Kyrie Robinson and 25 fab for Teddy Bridgewater. The one guy needed quarterback, so it was fair. It ended up being a fair trade offer. However, yesterday, I looked on the transactions, and I noticed that they traded each other back, the players. And this kind of was a red light for me, because last week in the league, another member who is roommates with the one kid that traded, I think, for Bridgewater, approached me via text message, hey, would you like to trade me Geno Smith, and I'll trade you a position that you need for the week, and then after we'll trade back. I obviously said, no, it's just not right. It's like an unwritten rule in fantasy football. You just don't do it. It's not morally right.
And let me add, if Bashioum is raising moral questions like this, you know it's not right.
Right. So I brought it up to Matt Vey. I posted on the message board stating that it was BS. It shouldn't be allowed to happen because it's going to open up a lot of doors as the season moves on. Just think about it for a second. If one of these players doesn't make that trade, and they don't get one of the quarterbacks in that rent deal, that loaning deal, they have to maybe make a trade with somebody else that would change their whole lineup for the entire season. They don't get the fab that they ended up getting in this deal. And that changes the whole landscape of what they can do as the season goes on, how much money they can spend, how aggressive they can be, what positions they end up needing. This is something else that I brought up. I said you can either just cancel those players' points from their total points at this point in time, because what if it comes down to I have the same record as the kid that got Bridgewater, and it comes down to a total points tiebreaker, and that makes a difference. It might have not made a difference this week. The trade truly didn't. The players' scores really didn't affect their matchups. They would have won either way. But whenever it comes down to it, it still goes to their total points, and total points come into play as the season moves forward. I then brought up the point to Matt Vey, okay, so he got this fab now in this deal. What if going down the road, I don't have any fab left, and he has 5 fab left, and he needs somebody to beat me, and he knows that my defense is playing Denver, and whoever's playing Jacksonville is on the trade block, or is on free agency. So he knows I'm going to go after that team that's playing Jacksonville. So he puts that $5 on that defense so he can snipe them away from me. There's so many things that this alters in the league going forward. So now Matt Vey is saying he doesn't want it to happen again. Okay, so he knows that it's wrong, but it was a fair trade. If you don't want it to happen again, how is it fair? What? And then he pulled this on me. He said, what if I traded you Murray for Megatron? Then the next week, I got a wide receiver off of someone else, and I didn't want Megatron anymore. but I can't trade him back to you because it's the next week. Where in this whole trade back situation did any of them get a player, a quarterback? Like,
Right.
he never got a quarterback that would make him want to just trade back Bridgewater. Like, so that whole point is irrelevant completely. I'm really ticked off about it because you can't say, okay, I'm going to let this one go, but never let it happen again. No, that's BS. Now, if it goes forward and I want to do it, I'm going to freaking do it, because you can't have that kind of discrimination. You can't say, okay, I let them do it, but Bashioum, just because you rip me apart week in and week out in the BHL talk show, I'm not going to let you do it. No. You either don't let this one happen, you figure out a way where you cancel points, you make them keep their players, something, because otherwise you're just digging yourself a deep, deep, deep hole, and it's going to cause problems as the season goes on. So now that I've laid all that out on the table, JD, what is your stance on this situation? What would you do as league commissioner?
All right. Well, first let me say that last night we had an interesting discussion about this, me and Bashioum, and Madvey also asked me, and I could talk about this for an entire talk show. I think any angle you look at it from, it doesn't sit well with me. I think, like, if I could rent someone that I needed for 1 week if I thought it made my lineup better, and just be like, $5, give me your fourth receiver. Billy, give me Keenan Allen, who you're not going to use this week. I would love to have Keenan Allen on my team. So, I mean, even if they didn't mean anything wrong by this, it's still not right. And I'm glad, I'm honestly glad it happened in that base league, because now I can address it so it never happens in this league.
Right.
First of all, I'm definitely not going to allow anything like this in the league. It opens way too many cans of worms. That's just not how fantasy football works. You construct a lineup and you fill your needs as the season comes along with waiver wire, with trades. You can't just, like, if everyone wanted to gang up on Jay, because apparently we all hate Jay, okay, we could literally just loan ourselves players every week to make the person that plays Jay's lineup the best team. And we could do this against a contender. If we all wanted to beat Billy every week because we were scared of him, we could all gang up against Billy every week. Here, this guy's on my bench. It'll help your team against Billy. Then give me him back and swap like $3. Well, no, that shouldn't fly. It's not possible. I'd be pissed, especially if I played either of these kids in that league. And every second I think about this, I come up with something else to say. But it's definitely not okay with me. And my ruling against it is I'm not going to allow the trade back. Unless something significantly happens with your lineup, where, like Madvey said, if he got a receiver and wanted to trade you back Megatron, then his team significantly changed. So that's excusable. It's also excusable if, like, 7 weeks have passed. Then that's okay. But, like, literally days afterwards, and I don't care that there's 15 fab, whatever. That's so minuscule. It doesn't affect the trade at all. So anyway, it's not going to happen. I won't let the trade back occur. That, or you guys both get 0 scores for your entire team for 3 weeks.
It's funny, too, because I just looked on the message board before we started this talk show, and the kid that was involved in this rent basically admitted that he did rent the player. He got on there and he said, we should ban renting a QB going forward. We should let this one fly because it didn't change the outcome of the matchups. But he basically said that he did rent the player. So it's just complete blasphemy. I was at actually a teacher induction training today. We have dudes like first-year teachers, and she was talking about different cultures, and she was saying it's an unwritten rule in this country that when you are on an elevator, you stare at the doors and you just don't talk. It's just an unwritten rule in our culture that we do that. It's an unwritten rule in fantasy football that you don't loan players to one another. You make trades and you pick people up in free agency. That's your only 2 options. That's the only 2 options in football. In the NFL, there's no loaning players. That's called FIFA soccer, whatever. That's in soccer. You loan players to other clubs. You do this, you do that. There's no place for it in football. So don't put it in my fantasy football leagues.
Well, FIFA actually is football, and you don't loan the player to screw the other team for 1 week. So that was a terrible comparison against my story. And it was also a terrible comparison to begin with whatever the lady said in your stupid-ass conference. So that was entertaining, and I'm glad I got the chance to address it. Just don't try it in our league. And if you do, try and hide it a little better. It doesn't sound like these guys were doing it on purpose to, like, really screw people over. They thought it was allowed. I don't know what commissioner ever came up with the rule that was okay. I'm not hating on Mad Bay. You can do whatever you want in your league. I'm not really that concerned about it, but not happening in the BHL. Don't ever think about it. And thanks for that entertaining Commissioner's Corner, Badman.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I'm always here to provide input for that. I'm curious to see what we come up with for next week.
I'm thinking, like, it's going to be hard to come up with one every week, but we've seemed to have done it so far.
So far, we've had issues coming up. It's kind of a blessing from God.
All right, let's move forward and talk about who's in a must-win situation.
I have two choices here. I really couldn't determine who stuck out, and they're both from the opposite division from us. You got Sterner against Billy, and you got Catco against Jay. Two people sitting at 2-2, two people sitting at 3-1. So if Sterner can beat Billy, if Catco can beat Jay, we're at a four-way tie for first place in that division. Everybody's going to be sitting at 3-2. So I mean, if Jay would beat Catco, Billy loses to Sterner, that leaves Jay solely sitting at the top. So both of those matchups, inter-division matchups, are definitely must wins for I mean, any of those teams. Honestly, there's a lot of implications this week.
I'm not sure they're must wins because Jay isn't gonna. I mean, Jay's in a playoff position right now, but is that really gonna last? I do not think so. I wish he was here so I could ask him if he thought right now he would make the playoffs. I think that would be an interesting discussion. But my must-win of the week is Jeff. Jeff can't fall to 1-4. Like I said earlier, his team isn't the type of team that's going to string together like 6 wins with those quarterbacks. His running backs aren't necessarily like world beaters, and Megatron's got a little nick. So I don't see Jeff ever stringing together 4 wins. So it's going to be really tough for him to claw his way back if he gets in the hole 1-4. And yeah, I think that's all I need to say about that. Jeff plays. Who's Jeff play? Do you know?
You? No, you play Nick Clark.
Jeff plays Matt Bay. Matt Bay was actually my other choice if I had to pick a different one. He can't for 1-4 either because his quarterbacks aren't guys going to string together a ton of consecutive, consistent performances.
Yes, you're right. So let's go on to match of the week. My match of the week is you, JD, and Nick Clark. It's a chance for either you to further your grip on this division, and it's a chance for Nick to close the gap. He obviously has a good team, being that he's leading our division in total points. So, I mean, it comes down to his record. He needs to get these wins while he can, because if he doesn't get the wins, it's not going to come down to total points for him. So, definitely a big match here, you versus Nick Clark.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, but it's not the one I picked. I picked Jeff and Matt Bay. They're both 1-3. This is do or die for both of them, and it's the difference between 1-4 and 2-3 might only be 1 win, but it looks really different to me.
Yeah.
3 isn't so bad if one of us lose. You're only 1 win out of the playoff spot.
Right.
And they also both have intriguing quarterback groups. They're kind of like you can twist it in your mind where they can be really good, but they're nothing you want to like bank all your success on. So Kaepernick and Newton is going to be fun to watch versus Big Ben and Alex Smith. So that's what I got. And Jay, I think Jay plays Catco, and both of those teams need every single win they can possibly get. Because Catco's team is another one. He's not probably going to string together a ton of wins, and at 2-2, he can't fall behind Jay by 2 wins. I mean, he'll probably make it up if he does, but Brady's not looking like that confident of a play, so we'll see. Catco's got some big decisions to make too, so that was that could have been the match of the week.
Yeah. That's definitely my second choice right there. So we've got that covered pretty good. Just talking about the upcoming week real quick, just some of the things that could happen. Me and you, we could extend our lead on the division. So that means if I would win, if you would win, Nick Clark could go to last. Jeff or Aaron is definitely going to be last. One of them has to lose this week. And then Polino could possibly close the gap in that division, or he could dig himself a deep, deep hole with a loss.
Yep.
And any thoughts from you on the upcoming week?
Well, I'm just curious to see what Jay does every single week. That's a fun team to follow because I still think it sucks. And Asiata is not going to get you 3 touchdowns every week, but he has the Seahawks back. So his team, when I look at it now that his players are back from a bye and everything's going on, it's formidable, but it's not a playoff team. But we've seen terrible teams before make the playoffs. Enco probably squeaked in with a bad team before. Poop on your face won the championship, getting in at 6-7 one year. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the rest of the week. My matchup with Nick Clark is interesting, just the quarterbacks. We got Jake.
Oh, man.
So, me and Nick Clark, I have a big hill to climb facing Breeze and Rivers. That's not going to be easy. And before Jay gets there.
Good God, turn down whatever you have on. Turn down your
Hello?
Jay.
Turn your
I don't even have a TV on, dude.
You have anything on?
Let me go to my room real quick. I'm in the room, but nobody's talking. So,
that's what it is.
come right out. Let me.
All right, Jay, while you're doing this, I'm going to go through this new segment we came up with. It's the record book. And
I can't hear you anymore, JD.
Yeah, I have no idea what you just said.
That's better.
okay, hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to look at the record book each week. I'm going to pick one thing, since you guys probably aren't digging through it every week. I want to look at Jay, which is actually interesting that he just popped on. And nearing the record for the longest streak at greater than, of more than 100 points. So he's never fallen under 100 points in 17 weeks. And the record's 23, set by Tony Gerkman over the course of 2011 to 2013. So Jay only needs 6 more weeks without sucking. But it's interesting because his team definitely could suck.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, we've gone almost the whole show. We're almost done, but I do have a few questions I want to ask you about your team. First, give us your general thoughts on the win over Sterner.
I mean, I don't know. I thought I was going to lose after I didn't start Andre Williams. I got real fucking nervous. I was like, oh, fuck, I just have 12 points on my bench. Denard's going to do nothing. Pierre Thomas is going to do nothing. Asiata's going to do nothing. I was so fucking scared. But
Yeah. So do you think Asiata is good now?
no.
Right? Also, now that you're in this position, you're at 3-1. How do you feel about your playoff chances, realistically?
Realistically, I think this week is as big as it comes, even bigger than last week. Honest to goodness, if I don't beat Ketco this week, I have no shot at playoffs.
I told you it was a must-win.
I think Bashioum did pick that as the must-win game of the week. It was you. So yeah, I'd have to agree. And congratulations on outfoxing Sterner. You just kind of waited, let him deal away all his people, and then you snuck in there and got your guy, and it ended up working out.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So I don't know, Bashioum. I think next week a good topic I want to do is I want us to rank who we root for in the league, 1 to 9.
Okay.
Where do you think you would place Jay on that list right now?
Of people that I root for?
Yeah.
He'd be in the top 5. He's definitely not in the bottom.
Well, thank you.
Would 1 be the person that we like cheer on the most, 9
Yeah.
worst? Oh, 9 would without a doubt be Matt Vey.
This is next week. Next week we're going to do the full rankings. But
Okay, I'll keep that under wraps then.
I'm just thinking about Jay.
Jay would probably fall, I don't know, honestly probably like top 4. He's a likable guy. He loves fantasy football. If you love fantasy football, we get along great. Me, you, and him, we'd be in the top 5 hands down. Catgo would be up in there. Polino would be towards the bottom for me. I don't want to give it all away, but just a little tidbit, a little preview to look forward to for next week.
All right. I mean, of course you have to put Jay high because he just gave you all those great players for this season. And I'm torn because I love to root for the underdog. I love to root for the people that suck. And Jay's off to like this 3-1 start. Hold on. What?
Does he stand during the entire?
He's definitely not standing. He's definitely not standing.
He did not stand up whenever he didn't stand up. He might stand the entire talk show.
Oh my God, he is standing.
Give me like 2 minutes. Just talk about something.
Can I do my ballsy bets?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. My ballsy bets for this coming week. Just like every other week, bets are void if the player involved is ruled inactive. And I think that's pretty much all that I do. So ballsy bets. First one, Ahmad Bradshaw will not have a touchdown this week, whether it's rushing, whether it's receiving. He's on a streak of 3 games straight where he has a receiving touchdown. So I'm going to say that he does not have a single touchdown this week of any form. My second ballsy bet, Russell Wilson will have at least 3 total touchdowns this week. No matter how they come, he will have 3 total touchdowns. Gio Bernard will finish in the top 5 running backs in scoring this week. Number 4, Matt Vey's boy, Jarius Wright, will score in single digits this week. So his big $9 investment will not pay off. My fifth one is that Travis Kelce will finish with under 5 catches. So if he would finish with 5, you would win that bet. And then 6, Jeff's starting running backs will outscore Matt Vey's starting running backs this week in their matchup.
All right, I think I caught most of this.
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't come up with a ballsy bet this week. I'll post it.
Yeah, just post it.
You post your thing tomorrow, I'll post it.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, I'm also mad at Jay for that stupid trade. So it's tough to rank him. He's probably going to be near the top. But just thought since Jay was on, I'd give a little teaser about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jay, what's up? Why didn't you enter the fight for free entry this week? Did you have a strategy to save your tickets?
Honestly, I thought it was based on the team that I had on the field. Like my fantasy lineup, I didn't know it was I could pick people. That's the only reason I didn't.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So now you know.
Yep.
I don't know, Bashioum, did you think it was worthwhile to do? I mean...
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed it.
It's a good time. And you get an escape from your shitty team with Asiata and everyone else.
Right.
So I think we'll continue and hope that there's a better turnout. I mean,
yeah.
If not, I have no problem keeping my $30.
I honestly don't understand why you wouldn't do it. If you love fantasy football, why would you not take the opportunity to do it? I was stunned that there weren't more people.
Was it that hard to sign up for it, Badger?
No, it was very easy. It took me 3 minutes.
Yeah. For your birthday, though, I want to let you know my gift to you. I'm going to play you in FanDuel this week. And if you beat me, I will give you $5.
All right. Sounds good. If anybody else wants to get in on that, they can.
What, if anyone else beats me, I give them $5?
No, they all get in, and whoever I beat, they have to give me $5.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, I don't really care if anyone... I beat you head-to-head last week. The minute that lineup, you probably saw who did good for the first 6 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pick 'em. You're way ahead. That's a solid performance by you. And we got pieces of 10 full entries this week too.
Yeah, that was good. We need turnout for that.
And it helps me with that over underrated stat sheet thing. I don't know if you guys took a look, but
Oh yeah, that's right. You always have that.
well, I posted the videos today if you guys want to watch them. I just tried to explain what was going on so you didn't look at them. And so I recommend checking them out. Let me know if you have any questions. And now I can reference them as we go forward. That's it for me. Jay, you got anything since you showed up late? You want to talk?
I got a couple comments on that. What you were just talking about, the over underrated one.
Yeah.
All right, one. I would really like to see it done in points wise instead of wins. I didn't know if you could throw that together. I think it'd make it a little bit more interesting.
All right.
To actually see. And 2, through 4 weeks, I've had 10 people pick me. I've picked myself 4 out of those 10 times. So 6 people have picked me to win through 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy. Your team. That's why your number is the highest I've ever seen after 4 weeks. I think. Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
Is it better? Do you feel better being underrated, or would you feel better to be overrated?
I mean, I feel much better being underrated as opposed to being overrated. Because they're like, oh, you're underrated. Oh, you're sneaky. Well,
Yeah.
Or you could be overrated and you could be all talk and nothing, you know?
Well, to be fairly rated, everyone would have to think you're going to go 3-1, which nobody would realistically think. So
I didn't even think that, but
the one thing with points, I'll say this: it's not going to give you an accurate look at it because we're picking the matchups each week. So even if I think you're going to get a lot of points, it depends on your opponent. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to eventually put in deserved wins, which kind of balances out the points and the wins. And so that'll give you a slightly different result. But yeah, it's not the type of thing. Points could be included, but it wouldn't be accurate based on what the league thinks of you. So, if that makes sense. So, all right, Bashioum, I thought you were a great host today, kind of guiding us through. It probably sped things up too. You're better at that since you're a teacher, I guess. Staying
on track, yeah.
Yep.
I probably am. I have a slight edge there on you.
Yep.
Still number 2 in my book.
That amazes me because my audio is always so terrible. I would think I'd be cool.
I was actually, honest to goodness, I kind of just said it just because it sounded a lot better than number 1 in my heart. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But like your audio is bad, and I couldn't even finish watching the video of you criticizing my team after the fucking trade. I couldn't even finish it. I was heartbroken.
I thought you said you didn't watch it.
I watched until you said, "This is the commissioner's corner." I want to talk about one fucking thing this week. The trade that happened, it pissed me off so much. I was like, oh my gosh. I was devastated.
Did you enjoy last week's Commissioner's Corner where I ripped apart your arch nemesis?
I liked that, and I really liked that Josh was laughing at me for putting Denard Robinson in my starting lineup, and he fucking scored as many points as Rashard Jennings. So, made me pretty happy.
Yeah, that was bad.
Would you consider switching your rivalry to Sterner next year, since it seems like it's a better one than you and Matt think?
I don't really care. I don't really care for Josh either, but I mean, whatever.
All right, we'll have to see what plays out better. I think you and Josh play pretty soon again, week 8, so he's going to want revenge with his real quarterback. So, all right. That's
tough. I'm trying to get to a point where it doesn't matter. But, no sense, I'm sorry.
Is that choppy for you, Bashioum?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. But anyway, that's it for me. How about you guys?
Nothing left for me. I hate you all. I hope you all lose this week.
All right. See you, suckers.
See you guys.